Have you ever thought about what a billionaire would do if they just lost everything? Today, that's exactly what we're going to explore. We're looking at the incredible restart plans from two of the absolute giants of our time, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. So just imagine it for a second. You get to ask these two titans of industry with a combined fortune that's just mind-boggling. Hey, if you woke up tomorrow with absolutely nothing, how would you start over? It seems like a simple question, right? But their answers give us two totally different blueprints for how to build success from scratch. All right, so in one corner, you've got Bill Gates, the tech visionary who famously dropped out of Harvard to build the Microsoft empire. And in the other corner, you have Warren Buffett, the investing legend who started obsessing over finance when he was just a kid and basically never stopped. Two absolute geniuses, with two very different ways of seeing the world. Let's see how they'd handle hitting the reset button. Okay, let's start with Bill Gates. His strategy is what you might call the Futurist's blueprint. See, instead of looking backwards at what he's already accomplished, he's looking way out on the horizon, trying to spot the next huge waves that are going to shape our future. And for Gates, it all comes down to a single number: 3. That's it. He believes that if he had to start completely fresh, he would put every ounce of his energy into just 3 specific high-impact fields. He's convinced these are the areas that are going to define everything. And here they are, his 3 pillars for the future: artificial intelligence, energy, and biology. You'll notice he didn't say software or personal computers. He's not trying to relive his greatest hits. For Gates, a real reset means you've got to bet on the industries that are going to fundamentally change life for all of humanity. Let's dig into these a little. First up, AI. Gates calls it, and this is a great quote, the profound phenomenon of our era. I mean, this is a guy who built a company based on the power of software networks, and even he sees AI as the ultimate platform. He thinks it's going to connect to everything, creating a space so exciting and so full of potential that you could spend your entire life working on it and never get bored. Next on his list is energy. Gates lays it out pretty clearly. He says the world desperately needs energy that can do 3 things at once. It has to be reliable, it has to be low cost, and it absolutely has to be clean. He's totally convinced that we are on the verge of some major breakthroughs that will let us make super efficient, clean energy for cheaper than ever before. And he's looking at a pretty specific and maybe controversial place for this: nuclear energy. Turns out he's been quietly funding a project and says his team has figured out how to make nuclear power plants 100% safe from meltdowns, and at a much lower cost than our current electricity. But he says the biggest problem isn't the science anymore. It's getting people to trust it after disasters like Chernobyl and Fukushima. So he's basically waiting for the world to be ready to hear him out. And his third pillar is biology. Gates truly believes the next generation is going to have such a deep understanding of science that we'll finally be able to tackle some of the biggest problems that have plagued us for centuries. He specifically points to solving obesity, finding a cure for cancer, and effectively treating depression. I mean, just think about that. Imagine the incredible good you could do for the world by cracking even one of those. So that's the Gates playbook. Look outward, focus on the future. But now let's totally switch gears and look at Warren Buffett's approach, which we'll call the Master's Framework. Because if Bill Gates looks out at the world to find his next move, Warren Buffett looks inward. Buffett's answer is just so wonderfully simple and honest. He says he wouldn't go chasing some new trend. He's not going to try to become an expert in AI or biology. He would just do the one thing he knows he can do better than almost anyone else alive: invest. You know, in a world that's always telling us to be more, do more, Buffett's wisdom is to just be one thing, but be the absolute best at it. That focus, that's his superpower. This whole idea really hinges on one key concept for Buffett: purpose. And he doesn't just mean a job or a hobby. He's talking about that deep driving force that you can pour every bit of your energy and spirit into without a single doubt. It's the kind of work that feels more like playing, the thing that gets you fired up whether you're 20 years old or in your 80s, just like he is. So how do you actually do this? Well, Buffett lays out a pretty clear path. First, you have to find that purpose. Second, you dive into that field, and you don't come up for air until you are a true expert. And third, and this is probably the hardest part when you're starting from zero, you can't let money be your main driver. He says if you chase the money, you'll get sidetracked. But if you follow your purpose with total discipline, success has a funny way of following you. Okay, so now we've got these two completely different philosophies sitting right in front of us. One is all about looking out at the world to spot an opportunity. The other is about looking in to find your own unique strength. This chart right here just lays it all out perfectly. You see, while Gates is focused on finding those big future opportunities, Buffett is focused on finding his own personal strengths. This means Gates' strategy is to bet on whole industries, while Buffett's strategy is to bet on his own abilities. And that leads them to ask completely different questions at the very beginning. It really boils down to this. Bill Gates looks through a telescope at the world and asks, what should I do? What things are going to change the world? Warren Buffett looks in a mirror and asks, what am I uniquely good at? Why am I the person to do this? One is a question about external opportunity. The other is all about internal strength. It's a subtle difference, but it's a really, really powerful one. So we've gone through the hypothetical restart plans for two of the most successful people on Earth. But, the real point here isn't just to understand them. It's to think about how their ideas might apply to our own lives. So now it's your turn. As you think about your own career, your own goals, which of these paths feels more like you? Are you more of a Bill Gates, always scanning the horizon for that next big wave to catch? Or are you a Warren Buffett, totally focused on mastering your unique craft and just doubling down on what you already do best? There's really no right or wrong answer here, but knowing your own approach, well, that's the first step to building your own success story.